My name is Mark Shaver, and this is my persuasive speech on seatbelts. My audience, thank you. Seatbelt laws are very recent in their inception. When I was a young man in the late 70s, there were no seatbelt laws. You were allowed to move about the vehicle however you wanted. If you wanted to sit in the front of the vehicle, you just jump over the seat. If you wanted to sit in the back of the vehicle, jump back over. Over my lifetime, I've known people that were hurt or even killed by not wearing a seatbelt. My wife is a good example. When she was a child, she was actually thrown out of the vehicle in a parking lot when the door flew open. She was not restrained. I've heard many stories like that. I also had a cousin in 1997 who was in a head-on crash and was taken to the emergency room with life-threatening injuries. There was him and two other passengers in his car, and in the other vehicle, there were 4 passengers. Now, out of the 7 passengers, he was the only one that was required medical attention. Everyone else was fine, and he was also the only one not wearing a seatbelt. Fast forward to 3 years later, and another cousin of mine was actually killed in a head-on collision when his car hit another vehicle head-on, and he was actually ejected from the vehicle. Now, over the years, you've probably heard several reasons why people don't want to wear a seatbelt. One of them is that they say it's too constrictive, that it impedes their ability to drive. Another one would be it's my right not to wear a seatbelt. I don't have to wear it. Another would be that it causes more harm than it helps. People tend to think that because they were in an accident and they were wearing a seatbelt, that's what got them killed. My personal favorite is I don't plan on being in an accident. Well, no one plans on being in an accident. They just happen. Now, it is state law to wear a seatbelt. Now, the first state to enact the law was New York City. It was New York in 1984. They began issuing tickets for not wearing seatbelts. Other states started following suit year after year, with the last state of Maine in 1997 to issue a seatbelt law. The reason they were doing this is because they had found that traffic accidents were the leading cause of death in the United States. And before that, you could be pulled over for another offense and only be ticketed for not wearing a seatbelt as if you were pulled over for speeding, reckless endangerment, or running a stop sign. Then they could ticket you for the seatbelt laws, and then they were minimal fines. About 10 years ago, the fines had gone up to a standard fee, such as running a stop sign was the same as not wearing a seatbelt, and they could pull you over for not wearing that seatbelt. Some statistics I have are seatbelt use has been going up steadily over the last 20 years. In 2012, the seatbelt use was at 86%. Now that's a significant increase from the previous year, 2011, where seatbelt use was 84%. You couple that with some of the early statistics that they started taking in 1994, where seatbelt use was at 58%. And the fatalities for non-users, people not wearing their seatbelt, was at 57%. Nearly half the people that were not wearing their seatbelt were being killed in car crashes. Now, you move forward to 2010, the use of seatbelts went up to 84%. Now, couple that with the fatalities of those not wearing seatbelts went down 44%. So in other words, more people were wearing their seatbelts and less people are dying on the roads. It's a 14% drop. In the southeast region, which is what we're in, those numbers have gone up significantly. In 2011, we were at 80%. Now in 2012, seatbelt use is up to 85%. Now, it is, like I said, it is the law to wear a seatbelt. And the law is that driving is a right, or is a privilege, and not a right on Tennessee roads or even nationally. You must obey the laws for speeding and for wearing your seatbelts. So click it or ticket. Thank you.